Welcome to We Use Our Powers for Good. We're Dory and Meg, two sisters, 10 years apart, using our powers for good. We talk about grief, life, love, and everything in between, with humor, honesty, and the hope that what we're learning might help you too. This is what it looks like to practice compassion, hold boundaries, and stay connected, even when life gets messy. We're so glad you're here. Okay. Okay, so this is number 3 of our 6-part series that we're doing about hitting rock bottom. As we mentioned in the first episode, in case you're just picking up now and missed the first two, we had a family crisis that's not for us to share, but family crisis, and we're getting our tools back out and working together to support each other. In this episode, we're going to talk about when someone hits rock bottom, that we allow them to be there. There's a huge feeling when someone's struggling. It's like, gosh, I just want them to be okay and I want them to feel good. But what we end up doing is trying to make them be normal, and we try and control them and
Get them back on track.
right, get them to do the things so that we can feel better. So the first thing I want to talk about is, and if we're not saying this often enough, we got to remind ourselves, like, I didn't just wake up and have these tools. You didn't just wake up and have these tools. Like, have started working with a therapist when I was in my 20s and have seen her off and on when I need to. And what does that mean? I've seen her off and on. Um, I went in, as an example, when my mom died. That seems like an obvious time you would go. I didn't know how to do that, and I'd never had a mom die before, and so I was worked with my therapist a bunch at the time. And I did as much work as I needed to do then about her death. And then a handful of years later, something new comes up. I'm going to have a baby, and she's dead again. So she's missing out on new things. And each time something new happens that she's missing, it makes sense that that comes back up, and I have more work that I want to do just around her, since that's my example. And that's true of everything. And the point being that you will be in your work for the rest of your life. And it's not like you go and learn tools and you just got it and knocked it out of the park. You could go learn some new tools and feel really good about what you've learned and what you're doing for a month, and then something happens and you feel like you're starting over. That is normal and okay, and that's what it looks like to keep using these same tools in different ways. Like, I know I've used this example before. I think I've told my kids 74 million times to brush their teeth, right? So it takes that many times to get them to add this pattern and routine in their life. And then I think I'm going to go to therapy and learn this tool, and then I'm just going to knock it out of the park that first time, and then I'm just going to know how to use it. No, you will continue to use it over and over and over and over. It'll be easier and come more naturally all the time, and then something new will come up and you're going to start from scratch with that tool. So just giving you the okay that it's going to take some work. And if you're not having therapy or getting therapy, please look into that. There's tons of resources online now. And if you need support with that, just direct message us and we'll help you do that. But Meg, if you'll share a little bit about what it felt like, because the theme is that we're allowing that person who's struggling to be where they are, and we're not trying to fix them. If you can remember back what that felt like when people were like,
Hmm. Like before the actual surrendering moment.
yeah,
Um, I just remember baby steps is all I could handle, whatever it was. And then I would get this overwhelming diversity of tasks or things, messages of it's time to move on, you need to get over this.
mm,
And everybody wanted me back on track to what I said I was up to, which I was no longer in my capacity. That I knew is that I could not do what I was doing anymore.
mm-hmm.
But everyone wanted me to go back to doing what I was doing.
And when you read them, you felt like,
I was like one more thing on the list of things to do. And then I don't trust this person anymore
mm,
because they sound angry, they sound upset with me. I can sense the shame.
mm-hmm.
I can sense that they're angry with me.
Sure. So it made you want to withdraw from them even more.
100%. Yeah. And at that point, because I was having so many extreme feelings, it was like, well, I'm never talking to them again.
Right.
It was just totally writing them off.
Right. So using this framework and, her memory and her experience, and then, I have my own experiences too, is how we do this differently in this existing crisis, right? Like, it is our instinct to want to help. I mean, and in our case, we have some good tools that we could. No, It is not my job to push my bananas on someone and just trust that you need exactly what I need to say.
Sure.
Um, and we're not telling you what you should do. We're not trying to fix them.
Mhm.
We're not trying to change their experience. We're not trying to make them say something so that we can feel better, because that's really what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
If someone is struggling and it doesn't feel good to you, that's your problem. Please do not try and get them to change so that you can feel better. It is your job to go do your work and handle the thing. So if someone is really struggling and you find yourself getting triggered, you're going to want to step back and ask yourself, like, what about what's happening am I internalizing or making about me? Or what about what's happening is uncomfortable to me? Or really naming what you're feeling so that you can address that for yourself and keep that separate from who's ever struggling. Right.
Right.
So I don't know about you, but in this current, family crisis, I had to step back a ton and like really think about what I'm texting,
Oh, yeah.
really thinking about what I'm saying. We had we were blessed to have all of our siblings together this past week, and of course, we had already had this schedule. Of course, it was divine. Um, and so when we were in person, a lot of times just pausing and making sure that what came out of my mouth is what I wanted to come out of my mouth, instead of like, oh, well, when you did that, I was really like, oh my gosh. I mean, no one needs to hear that,
Right.
right?
Yeah, and I feel like we did. I mean, I feel we did
Yeah,
a epic job of holding space
yeah,
and leading with kindness and love, but also really carefully curating our messages to each other
right.
from a place of like curiosity and also learning
Hmm.
and rising together,
Right.
which I've never experienced before.
Yeah, it was lovely. And a lot of in some of these tools you're not going to have right away is if someone's really struggling, you're letting them struggle. I'm not saying you don't love them. I'm not saying you don't ask, can I support you? Is there something I can do to help you? I'm just saying you don't try and change it and you just let them be there. And in that, we then are modeling, some of these good and lovely behaviors by how we're treating them. And then, as another way that we're using this, and this is from a place of love, I'm not the one deep in the family crisis. I'm on the kind of the next layer out, right? And so we're being thoughtful with the family members that are deep in it, that we're saying these things that we're sharing with you, that we're saying these things and reminding them of these existing tools so that as they struggle, because it's kind of hard to see sometimes when you're in it, that we're trying to keep the stuff right in front of them in a gentle and loving way when we see an opening for it.
Right.
Right. Right. Because when you're struggling, it's hard to remember your tools,
Yeah.
and to keep your head up and keep focused. And that's, what you use your supports for. So right away, when this happened, we all reached in and we're like, hey, we're here. Don't forget, we've got your back and we're in this together. And then we didn't do it just the first day. We did it throughout the day, every day, and we've continued to do it every day. And I'm saying that because just because we feel more settled, that doesn't mean that they do.
No.
Every day continues to be challenging until it's not challenging, and us reminding them that we're in it with them is only lovely.
And it's, it takes a village, but this is the time when the village is doing the work. Like
Right.
this is when the village most matters.
Right.
And I think back to my experience rock bottom moment, and I had one person in my village.
Right.
And right now our village is
Huge.
humongous.
Huge. Yeah. So the point of this episode is allow the person to be where they're at. You don't have to fix or change them. Just love them exactly where they are. And what that looks like is not questions. Like that person that's struggling needs to slow down and answer your ridiculous questions so you can feel okay. No. You are simply saying things like, I love you, I'm here. Let me know if I can do something. That can be kind of vague if you know things that person loves. Hey, can I bring you a meal? If that seems like too vague, hey, can I bring you a meal tonight? I know your favorite thing is pizza. Can I bring it at 5 o'clock? So being super specific. The point though is you're not asking questions unless they're how can I help you? And you're just reminding them that you love them and care about them and that you're there for them. Okay. Thanks for being with us. We'll continue at the next episode. This is what healing can look like, together with tools, laughter, and love. If this conversation meant something to you, share it with someone who could use it. And if you want more of what real connection sounds like, hit subscribe and come along. Thanks for joining us on We Use Our Powers for Good.